Want ad space on the Her Podcast? Email itsherpod@gmail.com.
I'm Megan.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Erica.
And this is the Her Podcast.
All right, everybody. Today we're sitting down with content creator and mother of three, Joselyne Effa. Joselyne left her full-time nursing career to become a full-time content creator and has now expanded her business alongside her husband. We are chatting with Joselyne about how she navigates the content creator world as a woman of color and the journey of leaving nursing to pursue her passions, how she navigates working with big brands, what content creation is really like behind the scenes, and how to set yourself up for success. There's so many good nuggets in this one. Joselyne was so funny. We know you're going to enjoy it, so turn it up and let us know what you think.
She's so composed.
I know. This is who she is, though.
Like, look even at the way you're sitting. I just
Get
need
out
to
of
take a note.
CJ's so thoughtful.
I always think I look nice, and then in the videos, I'm always like,
I look like a
like
the what you think you look like versus what you actually look
Yeah.
like.
because I wear
Right?
these puffy dresses, and I'm
But
like,
it's very
I'm
true.
so cute. And then in the video,
You're like,
Yeah.
it's like a loofah.
it's like a marshmallow. Oh, I was gonna say a marshmallow, but a loofah is a really good image.
one that's been used a lot. It's all stretched.
It's the Dollarama loofah.
I just tried to scratch my ear.
Oh, we're off to a great start
that ever
today.
Got an
happened to you
itch?
guys?
No.
Where you've tried to scratch your ear and you're like, oh, wait.
CJ's hit herself in the face with her headphones.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
Before.
I
Yeah.
did see that one.
I
That was
fell
really
off
good.
the chair.
One of my favorite
Yes.
moments.
Oh, the
Was it
chair
recorded?
broke.
Yes.
The chair, like, I was in the middle of being interviewed, and I like leaned to check the camera, and it broke just
Oh,
out from
no.
under me.
But that's like good footage.
It was good footage.
Right? Literally,
Yeah.
then this is the trooper she is. She got up and was like, did we get that on camera?
That would be really good footage.
Or you were like, don't worry, we got it on
Yeah,
camera.
she
I
wasn't
can't
like,
remember
"Are
which
you
one
okay?" She's like, "Don't worry, we recorded it." I was like,
Neither of us asked if you were okay.
"No,
We
they just
sat there
laughed."
I knew that you were okay.
It was funny.
You're
It
okay.
was okay. It wasn't a long fall. Yeah.
No, not a big fall.
Had you fallen out of a building, then
Maybe we'd be concerned.
yeah.
And then CJ would also be like, don't worry, we got the
But yeah.
you live because we got it on footage.
Great publicity, everyone.
That content creator's brain is always working.
Yeah.
Everything
Right?
is content.
Everything is content.
Do you feel that?
I'm really terrible at putting everything as content.
Okay.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I had an assistant who told me that she feels like I don't share enough of my life on social media.
Do you still have that assistant?
No, no, I don't.
You
I
were
don't.
like,
Do you have an assistant now?
I did.
Okay.
I'm okay. I think I have a problem. Like, I need to go to therapy too.
welcome to your first
I
therapy
know,
session.
right?
This is
Are you
therapy.
comfortable on the therapy couch now?
I would, yeah, I'm very particular,
Yeah.
I think. And this is my baby and I've worked really hard and I want to find somebody who's exactly like me. And I just don't think that's possible. Like, not in a bad way. My one friend told me, she was like, I went to therapy and my therapist told me, like, if you're looking for someone like you, people like you don't become assistants. They become bosses.
Correct.
And so where are you going to find this person? They're not trying to be an assistant. And I'm like, that is very true. And so I think I need to figure out my expectations and
Do you want to know what though? That just happened because we just hired an assistant in our business, and when we sat down to write down what we wanted, who we were looking for, we had that exact realization. I don't remember how we were saying it. We were like, oh, we want them to be driven or whatever. And then I was like, I think I said to CJ, I was like, yeah, but I don't want to give someone all this time and energy, and then 6 months down the road,
then they
they're like,
leave you.
I'm gonna leave. I'm like,
Yes.
I actually want someone who's no, I'm completely fine to work 9 to 5 and then leave it at
Yeah.
my job. Yeah. That's actually what I need.
yeah.
Still driven, but someone who's not going to go and be like, okay, well, now I'm starting my own business.
And take everything that you've taught them. I know
Yeah.
that sounds so awful, but
And there's a time and a place for it, like an internship where that's literally the goal is they're coming in to glean and learn about the industry because they want to do it. And you're
Yeah.
like, great, then you can work for me for free.
Yeah.
But when I'm giving all this time and energy, I'm like, I'm happy if you're ambitious. And if turn of events, you're like, I'm ready to move on and do something else, that's fine. But I'm like, I don't actually want to hire, we said we don't actually want to hire another entrepreneur.
No.
That's not what we
No.
want.
you really don't. And I kind of got those vibes that it might be a situation where it's somebody who's coming in to I want to take And then I'm going to leave.
It's really hard to invite somebody into something that you're building.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to
Yeah,
kind of
sorry, go ahead.
rewind for a second
Yeah.
because you are now a full-time content creator.
Yes.
And previously you were doing it part-time while working full-time as a nurse.
Yeah.
So how did you decide to make that jump?
You know, let's like go all the way back.
Yes.
Because Erica's actually part of my beginnings, and she probably doesn't remember this.
Oh my gosh.
She is.
Oh my gosh, is it good?
You were pregnant. I don't know which
Well, Theo.
Yes.
It would have been Theo.
You were pregnant. I was doing free photos for you because I thought I was a photographer at some point in my life. I don't know if you remember this. You picked me up.
You like,
yes.
we went and did photos
We
together.
did photos for you, and
Yes.
you were like, my sister's an influencer. And I'm like, what is that? And you're like, she gets paid to do like this and this. And so I think that's kind of how I got started. And at the time, I think
You're
I had-
welcome.
yes, thank you. Thank you.
Royalties, please.
You will always. You will not get royalties, but you will
Totally
get
get it.
credit.
There we go. Hey, that's
it's just as
that's
good.
valuable.
It's just as good. So yeah. So then at the time, I think I had Alexia, and I was working in the operating room, and so I literally would be posting photos and trying to be like good at it. I didn't really have like a strategy of any type. I was just like posting. And then I think I went off track, but anyways, and then begging companies. Then I was like, can I just have like one pillow so that I can like showcase what I can do? No, they said no. No to one pillow. And I'm like, you're handing out mattresses. Like, why can't I have one? And they said no, but I kept hustling. And yeah, through my kids, like all three of them, I worked full time and just kept posting, and then had like one big break.
What was your big break?
Superstore.
That's a big
Yes.
one.
But you know what? Before that, because this is going to totally go into all the tips that I'm going to talk about. But before that, I was on like Peers Way.
Yeah.
And
What is that?
it's like an app where you basically creators who are starting off can like go on there and be like, hey, I want to be part of this campaign, and they'll pick you.
Okay. So it's a platform
like a hub.
where you
Yeah.
can go and see like what campaigns are available
Yeah.
and put your hat in.
You put
Yeah.
your hat in, and they're literally going to pay you $20.
Great.
Okay, except for hashtag paid.
Yes,
Hashtag
they do
paid
pay.
is legit.
They do
You
pay.
get
They
big
do
money.
pay. They do pay. But yeah, Peers Way does not pay. And I would be on there and get like these little campaigns. But you know what? Humble beginnings, because
Absolutely.
you know, you really do need to start somewhere. And when I was on there, I did a Jameson, like the Jameson vitamins, and they paid me, I think, $60 or something like that. And I remember Jameson then hiring me like a year and a half later, and the girl was like, I remember you. You were on a Peers Way campaign for us, like, but we were paying you nothing at the time, and now we can pay you. But like, she was like, I remember you, and I remember your content. And I'm like, oh my God, you just never know who's watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Well, and I find that what people don't remember, and we say this a lot of time in strategies, is I'm like, I have no problem being like, yo, my first doing anything was a scrunchie. It was
Yeah.
2 scrunchies. I got gifted 2 scrunchies, and I did post and stories for them. Okay, but I'm like, it builds your resume.
It
and
does.
it actually, I feel on some hand, like getting paid right out the gate, yes, obviously ideal. But on some hand, it like takes the pressure off, because you're like, okay, I get to kind of like learn a little bit. And there's not so much this pressure of like financial, like when someone's paying for something.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Instead, you're like, okay, we're trading something, so you're going to learn a little bit on how to deal with an influencer, and I'm going to learn a bit on like how to
Exactly.
create content.
And you get to do it your way.
Yeah.
I imagine with bigger campaigns, there's
Oh,
some
it's very strict. Very
parameters.
strict. I don't even
Okay.
think people realize, like, sometimes I don't even get to show my personality. Like, I was recently on this campaign, and like I put out this concept that I wanted. I'm like, this is going to be so good, and like really put some thought into it. And they literally came back to me in the email, and they're like, yeah, that's nice, but like, here's what we want. Here is like this, what you did for this brand and what you did for this brand. That's what we want you to replicate. Like, we don't want you to like be funny.
Which is like hilarious, because I'm like, half of it is like you're picking a creator. I mean, well, I should say, I feel that I would be picking a creator based on the creator.
Yeah.
But I think some of these really big brands are like, you fit the bill.
Yeah.
So I don't really care if you're cute or
Yeah.
funny or what
No,
little
sometimes
angles
you don't
have.
want that person. But
Yeah.
you know what it is, Erica? I think it's like, and I think I've started to realize this, is that like lots of my ads get pushed out to quite a lot of people. Like one of my ads got pushed out to 39 million people, and I was like, That is the population of Canada. Like,
Holy
yes.
snap.
I was getting messages like, I saw this on Snapchat. I saw this on YouTube. I saw this. I had no idea. 39 just on Instagram. So I'm like, where else was it pushed out? Like Snapchat? I didn't even know you could do ads on Snapchat.
Yeah.
And so like, I think because of that, they really hone me in and like want to make sure that like legally everything is what they would want their brand to represent.
I see.
Whereas like when you're being funny or like making jokes, I just like when you see an ad and it is funny, it's because it's intentionally funny. Like they've thought out legally what they can and cannot say. Whereas like if you have control, like, well, then they might not be able to run it. And I've noticed that.
There's so many layers. Like I'm just listening to you right now being like, I didn't realize there were so many layers
Yes.
to big campaigns.
Oh, 100%. There is like, hold on, I have to cough too now.
You guys are like so in tune with your
I know. We're
Content
like,
creators.
What have you done to me? Just kidding.
Oh my gosh, I love
it. But yeah, like there's so much more that goes into it than you think. And yeah, so I think when you say like you're hiring a creator because you like a creator, I think they could like you and they like what you look like and your vibe, but they still want you to be slightly scripted or mostly scripted. In my case, mostly scripted.
Do they send you a script or are you like, walk me through, sorry, because I've never created one. I've worked with creators, obviously, on very loosely, like you know, you be you kind of thing. But walk us through what it would look like to create for a bigger brand.
Okay. There's specific brands. There is one brand that I worked with a lot and they will tell you frame by frame by frame. They will say like, we want you to walk in and we want you to put in the bag. Then we want you to, like, they will be like
Step
frame
one.
by frame by frame. They want it scripted. And then there'll be some that will just be like, here's your brief. This is the message we want to put out. Like, okay, let's say Sport Check. They were like, we want to talk about kids playing sports and how there's lessons that they can learn. They didn't script me. They were like, come up with a concept. And so then I write out frame by frame by frame. It goes back to them. They go over it with their legal team. It comes back to me. Then I get to film it. Then it goes back to them. Then they go over it again. If they've had edits, then it comes back to me. Then I make those edits. Then it goes back to them. Like there's a lot of back end. And you'll notice that like before this little haircut, you will notice there's ads going live like, when my hair was like long and it's like that was filmed months ago, but like it took so long to finally get to the point where it's finally approved. Actually, there's one today where they like send me a revision because I said, I've been using this product for a long time, which a year and a half to me is a long time. And they were like, we're pretty new. Like, we don't want you saying that. And they're like, yeah, we've been out for 2 years, but we don't want you saying that. So now I have to refilm it just because I said one little word that just didn't go with what they wanted.
Gosh, I think anything than a month is a long time.
I know.
I'm like, I've been using this for 2 months.
That's a very long time. Forever.
Forever.
I've been doing this.
I've been doing this forever, you guys.
Yeah, right? That's how I feel. So like there's a lot of back and forth that goes on, I think, with like the brands.
So do you get used to that? Or does it eventually...
No, sometimes it makes you cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like sometimes you'll be getting revisions like, I will make a change. And then they'll take it back. And then it's like, it feels like a whole new team's looking at it. Cause then it's like, oh, we want this change too. But it's like, but you had it. Like, you know, like it seems like sometimes there's like tiers of who's looking at your content. Oh, and, let me put this in. So technically you're not being hired by a brand. You're being hired by the agency.
Oh.
Yeah. So like, a brand will have an agency that represents them that they've hired out. So then when you hand in the content, the agency looks at it and then they make their revisions and then they send it to the brand and then the brand makes their revisions and then it's like that.
Oh my gosh. So what would be, you get a campaign.
Yeah.
So you get a campaign on the first of the month.
Yeah.
How long till that campaign actually...
On average.
What's
my
the
gosh.
turnaround
Like
from
months?
the time you get signed on?
Oh, sometimes it could be, oh my gosh. Like I've had one, Brock and I were talking about it. I'm like, when the email came in, it was 2 months ago and it's not live yet. Like still not live. We're still going through revisions.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like it could take up a long time. And then on top of that, then it's like by the time you post, then you're waiting maybe even like 90 days, sometimes a year to get paid.
Pardon me?
Pardon you. Mhm.
Why?
Yeah, because that's just
how
the
it
terms.
works?
That's payment terms. Like I know people who've been sitting for a year waiting. I've been waiting. There's stuff that I've done last year at Christmas that I still haven't been paid
And
for.
will that be in the contract?
Oh yeah, sometimes. But if you don't like ask,
Yeah.
or something like, oh, like you know, sometimes they'll say like, our financial team moved, or the person you were working with. Lots of these agents move from agency to agency to agency. So like I could have dealt with you for something and you knew that I needed to be paid, but then you quit and now that just stopped. And so like nobody knows that I need to be paid for something. That happens.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, and I know there's like certain agencies that are worse than others.
Oh,
like just in the
100%.
content creator sphere, like people talk.
Yeah.
And it'll literally be like, I got this campaign, and people are like, okay, well, heads up, you're going to have to like hound them for your money.
Yeah, for your money.
It's good money.
But
which
you're
is how
gonna
they
have
get
to-
you, but you're going to have to like chase them down for your money.
Yeah.
Which is why I, even now when I do, and I'm nowhere near the caliber
No,
that Joselyne is, like I like get so angsty about money. I'm
yeah.
like, if you haven't paid me by the deadline, I'm for sure sending you. Now I'm emailing.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, that's
now
when
you're emailing. Hello.
Now I'm emailing. I'm like, what's your number? I
Yeah.
want to call you. 'Cause,
And
like,
the thing is, it's just so many departments. Sometimes it's not even the agent that hired you that's the issue. It's like, they're the agency or the agent that's dealing with that campaign, but then they hand it over to their like financial team. So now it's a whole new financial team dealing with you that you have no access to. And then they're trying to go back and be like, why didn't you pay that? Like,
Holy
it is. Yeah.
smokes.
Yeah. So sometimes I don't blame the girls for like even revisions, because sometimes it feels so personal where I'm like, I'm working with you and you're asking me to do these revisions, but it's like, it's actually not them. Like sometimes they're caught in the middle between the brand and trying to make their agency happy. Because at the end of the day, they need to like maintain the client and keep the client happy, but you also want to keep your creators happy. So sometimes they're actually stuck in the middle of it. So I've learned to not take it personal when revisions are coming through. And sometimes it's just like, hey, can we just jump on a call? Like, let's jump on a call and tell me what you're looking for. Like, tell me what the brand told you so that I can just do it. Like, let's not.
well, because all of a sudden this big paycheck you're getting starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller every time you have to do
Every time
more.
you have to do something.
And people
Yeah.
don't realize you're like, okay, let's give like an amount, let's say like $5,000 for a campaign, and you're like, well, I'm talented enough to like roll this out in like this much time frame. Well, that's great bang for my buck. But now you're doing revision after revision and call after call and email after email, and you're like, yeah, in theory, it's great to say, yeah, someone paid me $5,000, and this is what people say, right? Oh, they paid you $5,000 for a photo, and you're like, look at everything I did
Before.
Yes.
Okay, so I think a big misconception is how much work actually goes
Oh,
into
100%.
it. What are some other misconceptions that you have found being a content creator that people have?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think that's the biggest one. I recently actually was on a call with another creator. Yeah, a creator called me to tell me that their mom had overheard a couple girls just saying we were lazy. Like, oh, they're just so lazy. They get to sit at home, and she quit her job as a nurse to like sit at home and drink coffees or whatever. These are not verbatim words, but basically along the lines of like, they do nothing all day long. And I'm like, I've never had more gray hairs in my life. Like, I know, I'm not kidding. I don't get to take time off. Like, if I'm not working, I'm not getting paid. And two, like, when my mom passed, like, I didn't get to just be like, I'm signing off for 3 months. Because when you do that, it's like you disappear. You cannot be taking time off, like, where you're like, I'm going to take 3 months off and then I think I'm going to come back and my business is going to thrive. No, you're not. You're probably like no longer even relevant. It's so bad. Like, I don't know. Like, you guys are on social media. I know, Erica, like, you really kind of were in that space for a long time. Like, can you disappear for 3 months and think you can just come back and things will be like normal?
I think that the short answer is no. I think it differs when you're a certain caliber.
Yes.
Like, I think Jillian Harris could take 3 months,
she could.
right? Like, she could take 3 months. But again, I'm like, if you're in a building stage of your business, I'm like, you sometimes need to think of your Instagram as like a brick and mortar store. And if you just like close your store for 3 months, people would be like, they must be done.
Stores
They must be
go
done.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this is where, unfortunately, sometimes that like those boundaries or that balance of like, how much am I on social, how much am I not on social, really the lines get very, very blurred. And I know when we did like I think it was mine, or I don't know what interview we did with me where I said like, I recognize, it was our Friends episode when I talked about being an entrepreneur. I'm like, yes, as a content creator, you like step into it and you choose it. And like, maybe these are some of the things people need to know before getting into it, that I'm like, you better be ready to put it all in, because like if you actually want to be at this caliber, like you have to put it all in my opinion, unless you're a unicorn and you hit on something, which is rare. People also don't realize that like whole viral making that actual growth is not that's the exception. It's not the rule.
100%.
And so I think, big misconception is that content creating is easy and all you do is post a photo and you're like, oh my gosh, first of all, dealing with kids is next level.
Yes. Like having them part of my campaigns is just a nightmare.
Why do you think my page is just me now, basically? Because I'm like, it's like so tricky. Right? And so
a lot of M&Ms in the pocket, I imagine.
Yes. And then you're like, you don't want to be that parent. Like, I don't want to be like forcing my kids to do a campaign. And then like, you're trying to like explain to a brand, like, my son didn't want to do that. Like, you know, and it's like, and at the end of the day, he doesn't want to do it. And I don't want to do it. So we're not doing, like, you know, like.
What I also find the comment I get, and I'm sure you get this too, is I'll tell someone like I did a campaign for like something, and I'll still do, like, again, my page is quite a bit different than Joselyne's. I feel like I'm over here like Joselyne's like very like high caliber. But like if I do something for an exchange, like I'm like, oh, okay, like that's that value. That's what I would maybe charge for a post. Like I'm cool to just exchange it. Let's just call it what it is. I will literally have people be like, oh, so you just like got it for free? And I'm like,
no.
Please stop using that wording.
Please stop using free. Like it's not free.
It's not,
or like,
it's not free.
Hey friends, Megan here. You already know that I am a loyal and obsessed Poppy Barley fan, and I was so excited to start wearing my favorite warm weather flats again. Summer is around the corner, and if you are jetting off on any fun adventures, you are going to want to listen up, because I'm going to let you in on a few accessories that are going to add ease and comfort to your travels. Poppy Barley's assortment of sustainably made accessories were designed to add ease to your adventures. Explore passport holders in multiple sizes to keep you organized for flying solo or with the whole fam. Go hands-free with cross-body bags designed to hold your travel essentials and backpacks that make the perfect and most stylish carry-ons. Also perfect for travel or playing tourist in your own city if you are sticking close to home like me this summer, are Poppy Barley's Ever Ease flats. Friends, these shoes are incredibly comfortable. They are made with super soft leather, memory foam insoles, and anti-blister suede lining. And select styles are also available in wide widths. Each style is ethically made using sustainable materials in an audited green energy factory, and you know we love that. Not only do they produce ethically made, fashion-forward, and functional footwear and accessories, they are a certified B Corp and people-focused company, which makes us love them even more. And you know, we have an exclusive offer for her community. Visit pb.shoes/herpod to subscribe to their newsletter for early access to new releases and $25 off your first purchase of $200 or more. Terms and conditions do apply.
even like, oh, you got like tickets to this event for free. And I'm like, this is so much work.
No.
Like, it's not even enjoyable now.
You know what? Brock and I were saying this because I was like, I have to mention this. Like, when people get trips or like, oh my gosh, you got a hotel stay, worst. I'd rather pay for the hotel stay.
Oh, that's where I'm at.
Yes. Because like so much freaking work. You're not even enjoying yourself.
Yeah. So,
no.
Like,
Nick and I did a stay at a hotel in Canmore a few years ago at the Malcolm. It's like a beautiful hotel.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. But we were there for like 3 or 4 days. And I strategically told him, here's the deal.
Yeah.
The first day.
Yes.
We're getting every piece
the
of content we need. And then we can relax. Because otherwise, every time you're walking through the lobby, you're like, I should do a story or I should take a photo here. And it's like, now your vacation that was supposed to be so great has just been filled with work. And most likely your spouse is annoyed with you because you're like, a photo here, a photo here.
Yeah,
no, absolutely.
I agree. And I think here's the problem. Like, I think it's going to go back into like, oh, what are the things that you would give people for tips? Always over deliver. But then when I'm at a hotel, I'm feeling like I'm over delivering every freaking day. I'm like, oh my God, I got to do this. I got to do, like, I constantly feel like I have to take so much content. Yeah, it's not what it looks like. Like, of course you're getting a highlight reel. Like, what the heck do people think? No one is like, you know what I mean? Like, honest to God, I'm like, you don't go to work and dump your crap out. every day and be like, oh my God, my life is so miserable. like no one does that. Like, do you come to work and dump all day long?
No.
You don't. Like, you try to be positive and keep, oh, sorry. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, guys.
You're good.
You keep like certain things personal and certain things that you can discuss at work. Well, we're the same. This is a real job. And like when I show up as a professional, and I'm not going to dump every day. And I get it that people want to see real people 100%. I don't think people should be like fake. I don't even think it's being fake. It's I'm going to work. Like I have like, I have to work, you know?
We all have our work voice.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. Yeah.
No, we do.
Exactly. And I think now things are a little bit like they're transitioning to be like people are being more real. I have to say, and I hate to say this, yes, I think brands want that. And I also think they don't want that. Like
they want it in the voice that they want it in.
Well,
yeah.
I think they want it in the creator because that creator has built a big community,
Yes.
but they're like, in our ad,
We
you
don't
still
want
need
it.
to be real professional. So our very professional ad reaches all the people that have loved you because
100%.
of your authenticity.
Yes. And you know, I hope I'm not sounding like, oh, these brands, because I love them. Like, don't get me wrong. I've had so many great opportunities and I'm so grateful. I truly am. Like the brands that have trusted me and like have put food on my plate. Continue to put food on my plate.
Keep bringing that food.
Yeah. Bringing that cheddar. I love them. You know, like I truly, like, I don't want to be like, oh, these brands. Really, I get it. They've built a business of their own too, and they're trying to maintain a certain integrity. And I get it. And I don't blame them. If I was running freaking Walmart, yeah, like, you know, it's like a top 5 company.
They might not. They might know what they're doing.
Yeah, right. And so, like, I kind of like I do get where they're coming from, and so, but I like going back to what you were saying about like, it's the exception, not the rule with like going viral or even campaigns. I kind of think that's true. Like, you can put in a ton of hard work and it might never happen for you. Like, I think people think that if they just go on social media and they post that you're going to become an influencer who's making X amount of dollars. No.
There's
Like,
no guarantees.
There's no guarantee. And I think that's with everything. Like, you might just go to a job that you absolutely love and you might not be a good fit. Like, just because you want to do this job doesn't mean that it's actually going to end up working for you. It might work for you in that, like, you build a community with your audience. But if you're thinking, like, I want to go into this and I want to make this amount of money, I think you just need to be realistic. Like, you might not be. And I know lots of creators who don't make money. Like, at all.
And I wonder if you would agree with this. I've heard people say before that if you go into it thinking about you and the money and what you're going to get out of it, like that's going to translate through, and probably like the people that are looking to follow you will be able to feel that. Whereas if you flip the script and you're looking to help people or share a message or, you know, do things like this, that you usually go further.
I think so. But you can go further without making money is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm just trying to say that, like, I think everyone just thinks I'm going to be an influencer and I'm going to make a bunch of money.
Right.
Like, no, you could still be successful and not make a lot of money. I know lots of people who have 1 million followers and cannot make a career out of this. Like, and that's okay. You just have to realize, like, when you're going into this, yes, there's potential to make money, but there's also potential to just be like someone that people really like and like can create community with, and you have to be okay with either or.
Right.
Well, and CJ and I say a lot because we'll get on calls with people who are like, oh, I only have 1,000 followers or I only have like 3,000 followers. And we always say to them, like, just because like you may be able to see someone's follower count, you don't see their bank account.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like,
you're
you
so
have
right.
no idea, because I'm like, we know like micro influencers who are like making bank on Instagram
100%.
because their engagement rate is super high, and they've like they've really narrowed down and they're like, this is my offer and I'm gonna like hit hard, and they're making bank. And then these followers with like hundreds of thousands of followers are like, I can barely make $1,000.
Oh,
in a month.
100%. I've seen that.
It's literally like, again, I think really honing in on your message and like what your offer is. I want to go back to, because we kind of totally went off track, which is fine.
we do here.
But we were talking about campaigns, and and this, you're saying like some people like just can't make it, but like you're like, okay, what changed for me was my Superstore one. So what did you see after that? Like, what happened?
Honestly, I remember getting an email and having no clue what she was even asking. She's like, so how much are you going to charge for usage? I'm like, what? What's usage?
I don't know what
like,
that is.
Yeah. Like, so it's basically like, I don't know. I'm not great at describing. Brock deals with a lot of my emails, but basically, like, it's like if I gave you my content, I'm like, okay, you can use this for like a month.
Got it.
And so you're going to pay me to use it. So you could use it either on like, so they'll tell you like, oh, it'll just be on our social channels, or then there's boosting where it's like, we're going to put ad dollars behind it. Like, those kinds of things. So yeah. So she was like, what are you going to charge for usage? And I was like, I don't know. And I think I said something like, I don't know. Like, can you tell me? Like, well, I had no clue. And I'm sure she still lowballed me, but she was, you know what? I love her till this day. But like, she didn't lowball me. I think she gave me money, but like, was like, I'm not going to give you the top of our budget. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they also have budgets.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So after that, basically everything I got from that campaign, Erica, and this is one thing I recommend, I put back into it. I was like, I'm not going to make any money. I'm just going to take whatever props I need to buy, whatever I need to make this happen and make it the most greatest superstore campaign. I'm going to do it. I think I spent like, oh my God, probably 20 hours on this campaign, like literally thinking everything out, making sure like my camera settings, like I had to learn my camera. Just I remember you talking about that, like my camera settings, everything. I think I did take home a little bit, but like, no, like I was making sure everything went back in.
Right.
And I had that luxury, I guess, because like, yeah, I was a nurse, like I was making money. So I did have that luxury to basically be like, anything you pay me, I'm going to put back in so that this is the most greatest thing ever. Whatever resources I need to put in, I'm going to put in. So I did. And then after that, they loved it. And so the magic is getting them to boost your content, I think. And so because it was boosted, lots of other brands saw me. And when they saw me, then they came. All the boys came to the yacht.
I made that milkshake.
And they came.
Yeah, they came to the yacht. So I think that's what it was. It was that I really worked so hard to create something so beautiful. The brand loved it. They thought it was on brand. They boosted it out. And when they did boost it out, then other companies snatched me up and were like, we love you. And came into my inbox.
Well, it's like a domino effect, right? Like you basically had a break.
Yeah.
And then it showcased you to other businesses, which
100%.
is amazing.
Which is why you always want to put in 100%. Like really just go and look at content creators who you think brands really love and see like, what do they do? And try to match that energy a little bit in your own way. But just realize like, put in 100%. Yeah. Like, don't just be like, learn your camera. Like, pick up your camera and take that high quality photo, because I hate to say it. Yes, we can pull out a phone and take, it's not the same quality. And so, at the end of the day, the brands are selfish and they want to push out high quality content. Like, and I hate to say it, but it is what it is. It's like, I'm not getting my low quality content pushed out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, so I don't know. I hate saying stuff like that because I don't want to sound like it's not good enough. You need to be.
No, I think that you looked at it through a lens of being very intentional and how can I go above and beyond.
Yeah.
To really, like, you saw that you saw the value in this campaign and you were like, this can be it.
Yeah.
And how do I take this and keep moving forward?
Yeah.
So I think that's really smart.
And honestly, till this day, she still like talks to me and like has handed me more campaigns and like recommends me. And so I think that is that Eminem song? You only get one shot. Do not miss a chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
Yes.
Like, we got Joselyne on the mic.
Spitting rhymes. I love it. But really, like, you know,
So how far from then until you chose to leave nursing? Because you were a scrub nurse. Like you were like in the OR.
Because this is a very different career,
very different,
right?
Yeah. Like how long did that take you to be like, okay, I'm ready to like drop this now? Because this is either bringing me the same amount of money, I'm guessing more. What was that decision process like for you and Brock and everybody?
Oh man. You know, initially Brock and I were laughing because like he initially wasn't into it. He's like, what is she doing? Like wasting her time. Like you could be working an overtime shift at the hospital. Instead, you're literally like, let me go take a picture of like my kids outside, you know? Yeah. He's like, what are you doing? Like, so he wasn't really into it. And then, I was very careful. I honestly gave up my position just in December of this year, even though I could have prior.
Okay.
Yeah. And
were you still in the hospital?
Well, no, I was on mat leave.
Okay.
So technically I was on,
Yes, you were.
Little baby. I was very careful about leaving my job because like I have a pension. Like
the security of it.
Security, like I get paid on a regular basis, not every 90 days or maybe a year.
Yes.
you know, and you had to build enough money into your account to basically be like, okay, now we're going to survive off of this money, you know? And not that I had like a set budget because I'm terrible with money.
Listen to Erica's episode.
I know, I did.
Episode number.
Little plug. Yes, I did listen to you guys. I think I need a friend to keep me on track too. But yeah, I didn't make that jump until like a certain point. Like when I was like, yes, of course I'm so careful. I don't want to talk about money too much, but
no, you're okay.
To match like obviously what I was making.
Yeah. Well, you were calculated. Like you pre-thought through what is going to take care of me and my family at the end of the day, right? You're not going to put your family at risk.
No.
You weren't just like, oh, I'm seeing a big paycheck come through today.
Yeah, so I'm going to quit my job.
Consistently come through, right?
Yeah.
Will I get paid on time, right? Like how do you create some amount of cushion or security so that you can
exactly
do that?
And the thing is, there's no guarantees. Like I go year by year by year. Like literally, I'm like, oh my God, month by month. Like when are these emails coming through? Like
you could be irrelevant next year.
Oh my God, don't say that.
I know you're not going to be.
You won't be.
I'm saying though, but this is like what people don't realize about
God,
this kind of space is I'm like, you could be hot this year, and I'm saying
then
you
not.
as in
Yes.
a content creator could be hot this year, and then not again.
Not again. It's actually very sad, and you see it happening a lot, and it's like, oh my gosh, they were relevant last year, and now it's like, who the heck are they?
Or people who are like, I used to get campaigns and now I get none. And you're like,
I know. And people will say that to me and I feel so bad. I'm like, I don't know what to say because like it's working for me. But like, and you feel really guilty, and I shouldn't because I'm like, I freaking work real hard. Like I work real hard, but still I feel bad. Like, yeah, you can become irrelevant. So I'm always looking at like, what are my next steps? Like, what am I going to do? I technically actually still hold my license, by the way.
Yes,
so,
I was going to ask.
Yes, I do. I still hold my license. I actually have to work a shift this month, which scares me. But
you're in the OR, correct?
I am.
Like, you're a badass
Oh
nurse.
my God.
Yeah, you are. That is a badass.
I am okay.
Like all the respect.
Yes,
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna do. You guys are gonna see me like, are you competent? I should probably not say that. I'm very competent.
I believe it.
But yes, I do have to go
want
back.
you in my surgery.
You know what? Yeah, that would be so nice. Would you want to be naked though in front of me? Like fully
Erica's
naked.
fine.
Do you want to
Take off? No,
Right.
I'm
Do you
not
know what? I have another friend who's a scrub nurse.
Yes.
You've actually met her before.
Who?
Suzanne Charbonneau, but you met her at that event at Cohen's when you showed up wearing a NASA sweater.
Oh yeah.
And I had to pay the $18 gratuity for them to open my wine.
Well, I remember the NASA event. I was wearing biker shorts.
Yes.
Was it like and you
It wasn't a NASA event.
Oh yeah.
Girl, that's a big campaign.
They sending me to space. No, anyways, I like told her because she's a nurse, and I was like, would you excuse yourself from a surgery if I was on it? And she like stared at me. She's like, it depends what it was. Like, if it was like routine, I'd probably stay. If it was something like really scary, I'd probably be like, I can't do this with one of my best friends.
Right.
You know what? And you actually can't, right?
Yeah.
There's things that you can't be a part of if they were like, you can't
Too
excuse
close.
yourself, from like a friend or family. Like,
But I'd be
like,
naked in front of you. It's totally fine.
yeah. Would you put you in like stirrups?
Everything is content.
I'm so kidding. Like, I would be
Hold on. I've got the tripod, guys.
Yeah. I've never pulled out my phone. That's a disclaimer.
No, we know you're very professional.
No, it's more
you're
for
very
my manager. I don't care about you. You know that I never. But yeah. So yeah, I still hold my license, and I do have to work a certain amount of hours to keep it because I'm not stupid, and this could end at any point. And
Or you could be tired of it at any point. You could be like, I'm ready to go back to like routine.
yeah,
Is that a tip you would give other people?
100%?
If they're getting into that space, is to
Yeah. Don't ever just think you should up and like quit. Like, especially if something like what I have, like a nursing job, I wouldn't just give it up. And there's things I love about it too. So it's like, don't get me wrong. I would say like, don't just put all your eggs in one basket. And if you're going to honestly do this, you better have your exit plan, because I'm already thinking of my exit plans in terms of like, I don't want to exit, but if I have to exit, then I've got my exit plan. Like, don't think this is forever. You see lots of people's accounts disappearing. You're screwed. You're hooped. Like, you know, there's so many things that could go wrong. Yeah, a brand could not want to work with you. We're really into the Gen whatevers now, whatever they are.
Whatever those young kids are.
Yeah.
Or you accidentally, and we made a joke of it, and I don't think this is going to happen, but you accidentally get canceled.
Yeah.
Like, there are things
yes.
where all of a sudden people turn on you, and you're like, oh.
And you're done.
Because I did one stupid thing that someone happened to catch. I'm not saying you've done this. I just mean you've seen this
In
on
general.
social media.
Yeah, it does happen.
Right.
And so I don't think, maybe I'm too safe. Maybe, but I don't think I'm too safe. I just think I'm being smart.
I think you're very smart.
I think it's being very smart.
Yeah.
I think
my IQ is very high.
not enough people.
She's also really humble.
She's beautiful and she's smart, you guys.
She's smart.
She's a
humble.
She's a good nurse.
She's a nice thing. Someone should tell Brock that.
She's got the cheddar.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'm
Yeah,
curious
yeah,
if you
Brock.
can speak to. Yeah, obviously.
I was going to have him. I was like, maybe we should have had him. But
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
2.0.
Maybe another time.
Yeah, another time.
I'm curious if you can speak to what it's been like being a woman of color in this space and what that has looked like for you. Obviously, in the last few years, we've seen so much change, I feel, in the landscape of even social media and content creators and everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering if you'd be open to speaking to that.
Yes. Honestly, like I said, that brand that I mentioned earlier, just in case we decide to cut it, it definitely felt like maybe a race thing. And I don't like throwing that out there, because once you like throw that out there, it's kind of hard. But like, I remember their response was, you don't have a big enough Canadian following. And then my friend who had gotten the mattress, we compared, and I had a bigger Canadian following. And so you kind of, in your head, you start to like, okay, well, what is it? Like, like you look at the metrics or the analytics and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense, because on paper, I should be the better fit. And like, not that I should be the better fit, but you know what I mean?
But no,
like,
if you're stacking up numbers, and you're like, okay, this person has 5 and this person has 10. Well, the person with 10 you think would be the better person to go with. Who I'm just giving small numbers, right? So I think what you're saying is, analytically, or if you were to just write it out on paper, who has the better shot of an audience being reached?
Yes,
right. This
would have been you.
But yeah, you do question, and I'm not saying that is what happened, but like you kind of like, oh, well, like that doesn't make sense. And that would happen to me a lot before, I think, the movement. And I think I've heard a lot of creators talk about this, and I think it's people educating themselves. Like sometimes I think we lean towards what we're familiar with. And if you have like, a group who's hiring and they can relate to maybe one creator who looks like them and who sounds like them, like, maybe that's why it was happening, until people were like, oh wait, let's like open up our eyes to like, there's so much more. I want to be very careful, because I'm not accusing. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything.
No.
But like,
I don't think you're doing that.
Okay.
No. I think you're sharing your experience and what you are viewing as like could have been some motivating factors.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
yes, I think it definitely was always in the back of my mind. And even Brock, it's funny, because like I think over the years he was initially like, I don't think race ever plays any like factor in anything, but over the years he has seen it, like,
because you guys are a biracial couple.
yes.
Yeah, and now he sees it. He's like, it's weird, like over time you see different things that happen that don't make sense, where he's like, I would never have that happen to me, and then he
Can
like,
you give an
sees it.
example?
Hey everybody, it's Erica. As you may know by now, I absolutely love starting businesses and talking all things entrepreneurial with everybody that I can. So listen up if you have a similar mindset to me. Are you possibly looking to start your own side hustle? If you love getting creative and want to make products that are always in demand, you need to check out B&B Craft Supplies. Owned and operated in small town Saskatchewan, B&B Craft Supplies is North America's largest supplier of specialty silicone beads. How cute is that that's right here in our own province? All of their products are, listen up, BPA free, PVC free, 100% non-toxic and made of food-grade silicone and all natural, locally sourced wood, which means you can feel good about your babies like chewing on them and playing with them. It's perfectly safe. As a new mom, founder and creator, Jade fell in love with making silicone teethers as her creative outlet. Because of this, she built a thriving business, and when it became difficult to source the quality supplies that she wanted, she took matters into her own hands and became the supplier. You know we love this for her. B&B offers hundreds of bead options with no minimums. And you guys, when I say hundreds, I mean it. I have seen her warehouse. It is stock full of so many great options, patterns, colors, you name it, she has it. This means you can create for yourself, your friends, or start a business, and Jade is always there to help you every step of the way. Get creative and get support from a wholesaler who's there for you. Visit B&B Craft Supplies on Instagram. Listen up, it's B__B_craft_supplies to get inspired. And then head over to bnbcraftsupplies.ca to shop hundreds of bead and teether options. Again, that's bnbcraftsupplies.ca to shop hundreds of bead and teether options.
Like, let's not say in this space, but let's say outside of this space, like, for example, Brock and I were out for dinner one time and there was a group of us and I was sitting beside him, but then on the other side, there was a female who was Caucasian and the bill came and she goes, I think she put their bill together. And just like, it's the assumption that, well, you have to be with a white girl. That you can't be with the black girl. Right. And he was like, that is weird. Like, I don't even know if that is weird, or maybe you guys are like, okay, it was an accident. That was an assumption. It was an assumption. It was an assumption that you have to be with, like, clearly the white girl. Like, you can't, I don't know. And it probably wasn't intentional, but and sometimes the little things go like that. And I don't think that was malicious, what she was doing. But I just think, oh gosh,
it's like what you said about people opening their eyes to it.
Yeah,
like, you're like, I don't think this was malicious. I don't think she was sitting there being like, I'm gonna prove a point. It was just not even at the forefront of her mind.
No, it would be like, well, the white couple is together. Like, I hate to, like, do you know what I mean? It's like,
an assumption.
Just the assumption. And so I want to be careful not to try to, like, put it in the industry just because it's like, I would never want anyone to think that I was, like, calling out, because I never know anyone's intention in what they're doing. But I think in that case, I was kind of an example of, like, where that didn't make sense, right? Where it was like everybody was getting this thing and not me. Like, and I mean, when I say everybody, like, I was looking at all the content creators.
They did like a blitz. Like,
I remember as a like consumer of the content being like, holy
You'll
heck.
see it a few times. It happens with a few brands. Every once in a while, all of a sudden it'll be like,
bam,
they just like found out influencers exist, and then they like give it to everybody. No, it's like happens. And I think in our space of YXC, a lot of influencers are like kind of connected, so we like see what everybody's doing. So I can appreciate that your mind, it would have been something that maybe you didn't like stake your claim in and hang on to, but you were like, this is a thought in my head.
It is a thought, right? Like, it definitely is a thought, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me, and it's hurtful. And I've had to learn to just be like, I'm not gonna let it like control me, because if I do, then I would have quit. And that would have been at the beginning when I was making no money and would have never even known that there was potential to like even grow my business, you know? And so I'm glad I didn't. I think brands have like opened up their eyes, I think, to being like, let's be really inclusive. And I don't think it's just race. Like, we even see now in sizes and everything, right? So I think brands have really opened up their eyes to that. And I think that it's a good thing. That being said, I definitely don't feel like just because they've opened up their eyes that only people of color are being hired. You know what I mean? Because I have so many friends who are of color and they're like, I cannot get a single deal. Like, I just can't. And I'm like, your content is so good. Like, you know? So I do think that even though they've opened up their eyes, I still think they're trying to still pick strategic partners. And so I think it's great, because I do think now we're all kind of on the same playing field, and now we're all being picked for like whatever reason we're being picked for, you know?
Do you feel like the opportunities presented or available have grown?
It's hard to say. I wish I had like a good like background to be like, okay, like, but because I was in the beginning stages a lot before.
Yeah, like you can't sit here and be like, before the movement, 95% of the creators being chosen was this, and now since the movement we see a 50-50 split. We like don't have those numbers.
I don't have them. I see other creators say that, like creators who've been in the space for a lot longer will say like things changed and like, you know, there was more opportunity. And I think we do see it. Like, I think if you look at any commercials now or you see anything, you do see that there is a change. There's more people of color, more people of sizes, more people, whatever. Like, I do think that has happened. I just don't have like a reference point to say like, oh, that really did change for me. Like, that was the changing point, because like,
you were just getting kind of like
I was getting started, and Superstore happened before the movement. So like, I don't have like a good background to like be like fair. So that's what I would say.
That's totally fair. It's it's something I know, like we've talked about a couple times, that I'm always just like interested in like a different perspective of it, obviously, right? And so I think you shared that just fine.
But you know what, but like I do definitely, especially in Saskatchewan, speaking about like race and stuff, like we went to that event, remember when I was at that event, and I think I was one of 2 people of color in a room of 700 people.
Wow.
How does that make you feel?
You drove me home. You remember that event?
Yes, you were in that boat.
Yeah.
Kirk, of course, is like,
I remember the outfit. For sure, I remember the outfit. Yes, I do remember. Because you said to me in the car, you're like, I'm pretty sure I was like one of 2.
Yeah, and the other one was the help.
Yeah. How does that make you feel?
It sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then I remember the girl who was like the event planner. She's like, why do you think that there's like no people of color here? And I'm like, well, I hate to say it, look at the panel. Like, you know, I'm like, no offense to any of them, like none at all, but it's like, we don't have the same issues. Like, you know, one of the, like, I think you remember some of like, I don't want to like say, but I think it was just an event that ended up having a lot of people kind of like wide-eyed, a little like, wow. Okay. Like, why would you say this? Like, you're privileged.
Okay. Like oozing the privilege.
Yeah, but it was like also coming from Caucasian people. Like, it wasn't just me being like, you're so privileged.
No, it was like everyone in the room was like, this needs to stop right now. I think a lot of people were uncomfortable.
But like, you know, the panel was full of people who maybe someone of color couldn't understand the same struggles. Like, whereas like, I'm like, oh my God, I've had to work so freaking hard for this. Or oh my gosh, geez. And maybe you wouldn't understand that. Like, you wouldn't understand what it's like to feel like you think about your color, you know, or something like that. And so, yeah, it made me super uncomfortable. And I think I sometimes avoid events because of that. Because I don't want to be like the only person of color. Like, you know, but we live in Saskatchewan. Like, it's diverse, but it's not as diverse as like Toronto, Ontario, like, you know, city. And it's not Saskatchewan's fault. It's growing, but it definitely is. That's just, it is what it is. But, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many content creators of color do you know here in Saskatoon?
Like hardly any.
Yeah.
Like very small amount.
Yeah, very small.
But yes, when you see, I feel like I see a lot more women of color content creators coming out of like Toronto, Vancouver. Right?
Bigger city centers.
Bigger cities.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when I go to an event like that, I definitely just feel off a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I stick out. Like, I'm not blending into the crowd. I would like to know what it's like to like this sounds
you're
so
fine.
crazy, but like, I'd like to know what it's like to like not like just to blend it. Like, so, I don't want to get emotional, but no. Like,
so do you feel like that? Because I feel like I've watched you like go to Toronto for a few things, and you're like with all your girls, right? And I'm like, is that just like so much more life giving?
Oh my gosh, I had to find a community. I really did.
Do you feel like you had to leave Saskatoon
a little bit? Yeah, I did have to find a little bit of a community. Like, you know, I did have to find a community that could understand a little bit of my struggles a little bit, and like some of these thoughts that go through your head, and check them, like, you know, and check them. Because it's like, can I come up to you, Erica, and be like, did they not pick me because I'm black? Because then you're gonna be like, oh my God, what do I say? Like, you know, but if I like ask, you know what I mean? Sometimes you need somebody to check your thoughts, to be like, no girl, like, no, this was fair. Like, you know what I mean?
And probably both sides, like, you're probably like, even to like keep encouraging you and being like, maybe that's the case, maybe it isn't, like, keep doing you.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
exactly. And not that I'm not saying that someone like Caucasian wouldn't understand. Obviously, I have my husband and I talk to him, and sometimes I don't actually think he gets it. Like, he doesn't get where these thoughts would come from. like he'd be like, where is this coming from? And I'm like, because you haven't experienced
It's
it.
your lived experience,
Exactly.
not his. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm like, you don't know. Like, you don't know what it's like to walk into a store and like someone look at you. Or like, I remember giving birth to my daughter and we were in the elevator and this lady turned to me and she goes, so what color is your child?
What did you, were you just like,
I don't know. I was like mixed.
That's biracial.
People's audacity and like lack of filter or common sense astounds me every single day.
You know, honestly, like, you know, I've had that. I've had comments. I've had a comment with, I don't know, do we go here? Mm-hmm. But yeah, where someone was like, your kids would never even know if they're black or white. Like if you're, yeah. So like, I don't think my thoughts come out of a place of like, I've never had stuff said to me. They come from a place where like, there has been that hurt. And like, so it's sometimes hard to like take that lens off.
Absolutely.
And be like, no, I'm being viewed equally and not from a lens of like, clearly some people do feel this way, you know? Mm-hmm. I think I digressed from that whole.
That's okay. That's
no, this is good.
Yeah.
This is an important conversation to have and to be able to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. So I think
your experience.
Yeah. So I think having like met some girls in Toronto and like just, it honestly helped me a lot. And it just helped me in a different way that I feel like my husband couldn't help me.
Absolutely.
You know, like he doesn't get it. He doesn't fully like get it. And sometimes even my brothers will have to explain to him, like, I could never have that like at a job, like as a black male, like that would never happen for me. And Brock, like, you know, it's not that he doesn't, it's just he has never lived it. He doesn't.
Well, when you don't live something, you don't know it.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't comprehend it or think about it.
Yeah. And we all have, I'm not equating it, but I'm like, everyone has experiences that someone else doesn't understand.
Yeah.
And until we can find our experience that someone doesn't understand, then we don't understand that we don't understand, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. It's like a miscarriage. I've never had one. Like, and so for somebody to talk to me about it, I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know what I can say. I don't, like even my mom passing, like now I'm like, I can understand people who've lost parents. Like you cannot tell me, you know, the pain, like, and I like don't want to talk about it, but like, you know, I don't think, and it's the same, like, I think it's the same thing with like the whole racial thing. I think that, you know, you don't understand until like you've walked through it, but you can try to be like open to hearing somebody's thoughts. Yeah, but it hits different when it comes from somebody who you know has probably had the same experience and like knows the pain, and you know that those weird thoughts that are going on in their heads. Yeah.
I'm so glad you found a community, because I obviously like watch through your stories and just through like knowing you, and I just like love seeing, I feel like such a shift in you when you like are around your community. And so that's such a, well, yeah, of course.
I really feel like truly just finding like my girlfriends out there has been really good for me, and they're not all black actually, but like they really aren't, but like it's been nice.
So you connected with them, like, did you guys all find each other on social media, or how did you
it's meet? Funny, the one girl who I'm like best friends with now, my Voguish Diaries, we connected on Instagram, and I had worked on a campaign and she had worked on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was just on this, and she gave me advice, and then over time we just became friends, and like, and that's how it happened. So like, and I think, you know, I want to preface by saying like, to like, we've already had like so much conversation on this whatever, but I do want to say, like, when you say finding your community, like not even in like a racial like, you found you never, but like I even think like when you're growing in a business, and I think you guys touched on this, like surrounding yourself with people who are, I don't know what word you guys used, but
well, I feel like shared experience is so important.
Yeah.
And so whatever that looks like, whether it's race, whether it's life, whether you're in the same industry, I'm like, that's what I mean by community. Yeah. I'm like, find your community wherever it is, however it looks. And if it's your community, then it's going to be life-giving to 100%, you. Right?
Yeah. So I think, like, when we say community, it's about finding those people. Like,
I'm not literally like, okay,
not
You go find all the white people, and you go find all the.
Yes,
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like find your people, regardless.
I think so too. Whether it's like being an entrepreneur and you need those people, like and I had to find those people and grow, and it's really been helpful. So I found them on Instagram, and then we all were invited to, I think it was for Black History Month, and it was an Estee Lauder event, and so I got to meet so many more people,
and then you got to meet your bestie in real life.
Yes, we met. It was the first time we met. We realized we were both like 4'11". I was like, oh my gosh, you're short.
Hello.
Yeah. People look taller on Instagram.
They do. I was like,
people look so tall on Instagram.
Yeah. So it was good. Like I met my like, I was like, oh my gosh, I really feel like I'm home. Like in a weird way. Oh my gosh.
It's really cool because we can bash social media for this, that, and the other, but it's so cool the connections that can be made that are literally life changing.
100%. I think so. Like, you girls have all met each other, and now you've become each other's community. And I think like even as you grow as a business, you outgrow like a certain community, and now you like enter into a new community that's gonna like give you life and like encouragement and like push you guys further. Like, I pushed myself further in my business, meeting some people. Like,
absolutely. Like Erica said, it's life-giving, which then is encouraging for you and gives you like that little oomph that maybe we need once in a while.
You do.
Like that drive and that inspiration. Yeah. And that creativity.
I have 2 questions for you as we near the end of this.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
My first question for you is, if someone was looking to get into the content creation space and looking to try it out and find their footing, find their niche, dive into it, what are some tips that you would give them on how they could begin to do that?
Okay. First, I'm going to have my little thing. Okay, first, I think numbers don't matter. You touched on that. And I think I'm going to like kind of pull this up because I did write like a little...
What's your phone case?
Oh, it's Disney.
And then my little pop socket like popped off.
The pop socket
popped off. Okay, numbers don't matter. You're right. Like, numbers don't matter. And actually, there's been a shift to like more of like the micro and so like less than 10K, right? I think I wrote this down. Like the 1 to 10K and then the 10K to 100K. Very much like brands really wanting to work with people like that because I think like communities are a little bit more engaged. And then I would say, don't be disappointed. What was your question again? Am I answering it?
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Absolutely.
Just do you.
You're giving us all the tips.
Okay. Don't be disappointed if things don't take off right away. There's so many no's before you finally get a yes. And like I said, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be a while, it could be tomorrow, it could be, you just don't know. So don't be disappointed. Using platforms like we talked about #paid, we talked about Aspire, we talked about Peers Way. And don't be like, oh my gosh, I'm only getting $60. Let me just quickly snap a photo. No, like think of it as your $2,000 deal, your $3,000 deal. Think that is what I'm making because that is the potential of what you could maybe make,
I love that tip.
Yeah. So 100% just do that. I would also say, and only for people starting off, be okay with getting like paid low. So for people who are starting off, I said, that's okay. Take that $60 deal. Lots of people be like, don't take a deal unless they're paying you this much amount of money. And I think there's a point where I thought so too. But no, not when you're starting off and you need to establish yourself. This is not for creators who are established and are like undercutting the market. Yeah. And are like, oh, I'm going to... well, they don't want to hire me for my X amount of budget. Let me just drop my budget. No, stick to your budget. If you're established, know your value, stick to your value. And rule of thumb, I have 75% of people saying yes and 25 saying I'm too expensive for them. And that is my rule of thumb. And that is a good place to be because not everyone should be saying yes to you because if they are saying yes to you, you're not charging enough. So like, I would say that, but like if you're starting off, yes, by all means, you can do those cheap brand deals, exchanges, like as long as you find value in it, then yeah, go ahead. You said something about niching down. I never niched down. I'm a lifestyle creator. And so I think that's where there's like most earning potential. I think sometimes you can like put yourself into like bit of a, I don't know what the word I want to use.
Well, you like pigeonhole yourself. Yes, absolutely.
If you, and I've seen this, if you niche down. So yeah, you can niche down and you can grow to 200K, but you might never make
money.
If people are talking about money, like if we're, if that's what you're asking me, if you do that, I think you really close yourself off. Cause like now what, like a brand might not fit into your niche and now like that just doesn't work. You know?
Well, and I think that's an interesting point because when we talk with clients, we often ask like, what is your goal?
Yeah.
Right? Because if your goal is followers, if your goal is sales, like is your goal to like get money, right? You have a different strategy depending 100%. On what your goal is. So I think that's completely accurate.
And you can still make money and still do that engaged community. Like people don't need to be like, oh my gosh, no, you can still grow. Like I've seen it. People, and you know what? I like my one friend who niched down. She grew like literally within, oh my gosh, 3 months. She was like at 130K, like went from 20 to 130K. She niched down. She did that. And she was still getting brand deals, you know? But like now her brand deals are different. They are very limited to what she's niched down to a little bit, right? There's no grocery stores happening and that's okay. And I think that's what she wanted, but like she had established herself before she did that. So she had already these like, you know, relationships that she had created before she niched down. So then they knew what her work would be like. So they're like, well, maybe you're not a good fit for like the grocery store, but you'll be a good fit for this.
Yes.
Like, you know, so I would be very careful at the beginning. Personally, I don't know if I would niche down. I'd rather grow really slowly and not niche down than grow really fast and be niche down and then be like, oh my God, I'm screwed. Now what? Now do you go and get rid of all those followers?
Because you're limited.
You're limited. And that's what they want to see. And if you don't give them what they want to see, that's what they followed you for. They will unfollow you.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, I already said this when I said, if you get the chance, under promise, over deliver. That is like my tagline. Always over deliver. And if you do get your chance, hand things in on time and respond promptly. Don't wait a week to respond to your emails.
Why do you think I'm not doing brand deals?
Yes, take it as a real job. Like it's not just a photo and it's not just like, oh my gosh, it's a luxurious life. This is a job. And when a brand gives you that, take it as a job. Because if you were at your work, you would do the same thing. And so have the respect and respect people's time, especially if you want them to take you seriously.
You know, you said number 2, which was, I wanted to say something because it popped into my head as you said number 2, which was like it can take time.
Yeah.
And you're like, it could happen in a year, it could happen in a month or whatever. And I'm like, I feel like the other thought that goes with that is like, it can take time, but then be freaking ready when it's your time.
Oh, yes. Be ready.
Like, be ready.
Exactly.
So treat every campaign like it's your time.
Like it is your time.
Like it is your time.
Because you just don't know. And learn your equipment. Know how to use your equipment. You don't want some big brand coming to you and you're like, oh my gosh, I've never practiced my camera. Like, be so good. By the time that happens, you're like, I'm so ready. Like, I'm ready to kill this. Like, you know? Yeah. And so, yeah, you don't know when your time is. You don't know when your big break is going to be. So like act like every deal is a big break. Honestly, $60 for a photo, that's pretty good money too.
Well, I just think people need to remember that it's establishing yourself and learning it. And it's like, you know, my big sister Meredith always said when she was giving advice to creators, like, does it bring value to your life?
100%.
Because this is the other thing is sometimes some people will be like, I would never do that for less than this. And then the other creator's like, well, I would do it for a trade. And it's like, our value systems are different. And so like figure out your value system because that will point you in a direction.
Yeah.
Especially when you're starting.
Yeah.
Out,
I think so.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. I think just, like know your value. I think especially when you're established, I think starting off, I would never fault anyone for feeling like, oh, I really wanted to do that. Like you know what? If you got that scrunchie and you really wanted to do it and that scrunchie's $2, who cares? Like if that's your way to be able to just showcase what you've done.
Want to build some confidence.
Exactly. Then do it. But it's when you become established, I think you need to like really think, is this really like, you know, when you're using videographers or you're like providing this high quality, know what that's worth because it is worth something and you don't want to just hand it out. But starting off, like you should do that because how else are you going to show? And that I remember one girl actually saying to me, she's like, give me some advice, blah, blah, blah. She's like, if the companies would only just send me clothes, then I could actually produce no, go buy the clothes yourself. Maybe keep the tags on.
Return them after.
Return them. Get yourself one of those guns.
Open Joselyne's closet and it's like,
you tag.
Don't worry, I lose my receipts all the time because things don't ever go back.
But I think that's super valuable that you're like, you can't just sit around and wait for it to happen. If you want to work with that brand, you act like you're working with that brand right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Show them why
they should be hiring you, and then tag them. Be like, hey, I did this little cool outfit reel. You're starting off. There's no shame. Yeah. There's absolutely no shame. Go get those clothes. Show off how you style them. Take H&M. Hey, H&M, like whatever. They'll see it. Yeah. These brands see it. They pay people to be watching what content is going live in their name. So, yeah, wild.
That was really great advice. Thank you for sharing that. Yes.
Will you be buying that Amazon
Gum
tag?
100%. Is it linked? It might be linked in stories. Just go to link.
I freaking hate affiliate marketing.
I was like, give us that affiliate link.
Girl,
we'll put it in our affiliates.
But seriously.
But I have one final question for you. If you could leave our listeners with the best piece of advice you've ever been given or received.
It sounds so simple because it's nothing mind-blowing. Just not to recreate the wheel. Like, it's already been created. Just put a spin on it. Like, don't always feel like you need to come out and like come up with some grand idea. Honestly, ideas are like all out there right now. It's so crazy. Don't copy somebody outright and copy them fully. But I just think be inspired, but make your own twist. And if you are going to copy, at least like give some freaking credit. Like,
give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, like be like, thank you, I stole this. I once saw somebody literally copy my entire ad from beginning to end.
Were you like, you're welcome?
I was like, Mom, this is like,
did they give you credit?
Yeah. Did you send them an invoice?
I was watching and I was like, well, this is weird.
Okay, then.
Joselyne's like, I've seen this before.
Wait a second.
I'm glad you were inspired. You know, it was from like a smaller creator, so I wasn't like overly upset. I was like, they're new.
I think it's bad when you see like really big creators doing it. To like smaller creators, you're like,
wait a second.
You already had the pie. Give me a piece.
Yeah. But really, like, be inspired. Yeah. Be inspired by people. Don't feel like you have to come up with some grand idea every freaking time. You don't. Can I say her again? You don't have to come up with some brand new idea. You just need to honestly be like, I love this. How can I spin this to make this my own and make it your own? Don't copy, because when that gets boosted out and that creator sees it,
they're coming for you.
The wolves always see it, right, Joselyne?
And they listen. We watch.
She lurking.
Seeing you copying that.
I have Google alerts.
I know. Yeah.
I don't know how to make a Google alert. Who are we kidding?
But yeah, that would be my advice. That was the best piece of advice I ever got, because I would sit down. I'm like, oh my God, I have to come up with a new idea like every single time. And that is draining.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. To come up with something that doesn't exist over and over and over again can be very draining. So sometimes I just take inspiration. I'm like, I really like that. How can I make it my own?
Yeah. I love that. That's a great piece of advice.
We've had such a fun conversation with you today. We've gone all over the place. We definitely have not canceled you. I hope. Don't worry. But I'd love to know, where can people follow you and find you to keep loving on your content?
I love when people ask that at the end. I'm like, so you can find me at so you can find me at obviously Joselyne.Effa, and that is my Instagram. And as I was telling Erica, Brock and I will be starting our little podcast. Maybe you guys will join us. It's a couples podcast, so that will probably launch when this goes live. I don't know when. It'll be like launched at some point. But yes, it'll be a little couples podcast with Brock and I think it'll just help you guys get to know us better.
And is it called A Little Couples?
Oh no.
Okay. I was like, is that what it's called? A Little Couples podcast?
It is called After the Chaos.
Oh, cute.
Yes.
Fun.
So after the kids go to bed, after the chaos, Brock and I
get into
podcast.
That's cute.
That's very cute.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that is where you can find me on my 2 platforms.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. This has been so fun.
Thanks for having me.
I hope I was such a shot of energy. I love it.
Yes. I hope this was like informative and good.
So good.
It was great.
And nothing bad.
No, we loved having you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the Her Podcast. If you want to follow along with us, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at its.her.podcast. We can't wait to see you there.
Bye.
Bye. Adios.